eligible for a contract extension with Cleveland. His deal would reportedly be easier to do than those of his draft class counterparts in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson because they are considered to be a higher tier quarterback talent, although Browns fans would tell you otherwise. But Baker is not expected to take any sort of discount. So he said he's in no rush to sign an extension, although I'm sure he would be happy to sign an extension.
Yeah.
The Browns have no incentive to sign an extension with him. They can very easily let this play out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I actually don't have a problem with this situation. Obviously, Baker would like to have a longer extension and get his money. But this is the year. Just go out and perform well. And
you'll get your money.
You'll get your money. It's as simple as that. Like the Browns are not in a situation where they can just move on from Baker. If he plays well enough, they're going to pay him. That's what they should do.
Joe Flacco bet on himself. Baker, the reality is we will know by the end of the year. Either the Browns are going to have the leverage that Baker finished second to Baltimore and, had some games where he could not elevate, or Baker's going to have the leverage. And what's Cleveland going to do? Bail on him if he gets them to the playoffs, wins the division, and wins the playoff game? They're not going to bail on Baker.
And nor should they.
No. So, this is Baker. In the end, a lot of people would say, ooh, Baker, and I've said this, he's not going to get his money now. But if he plays as well as he could, he's got the best offensive line and the best running back in the game, the best running game and the best O-line. If you go look at the last 20 years and said this team has the best offensive line and the best running game, Dak went 13-3. Dak Prescott as a rookie when he had the best O-line and the best running back. It is hard not to be a playoff team if you have Phillip Rivers last year had a top O-line and a good running game, and Phillip Rivers won 11 games, and now he's out of the league. He was an old man.
There's no excuses for not just Baker, but for the Browns.
Yeah.
They should be. Not only they should win this division, they should be in the playoffs. They should win multiple playoff games. There should be high expectations for them. You should do better than you did last year.
Yeah.
It's another year into Baker's career in this system, and he's betting on himself. It worked out for Dak.
And Flacco.
Sometimes you have to do that, but it's totally in Baker's hands. If he plays well, he's going to get paid, and they should pay him.
Yeah. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Oh, we got all sorts of stuff today. Chris Broussard now joins us live, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. All right. I got to tell you, I hear a lot of trade rumors, and many don't come to fruition. But I can make an argument, Kawhi to Dallas is very interesting. Remember, Chris, Kawhi doesn't have big shoe money. He doesn't have big social media money. For Steph and LeBron, California taxes are irrelevant. They get so much business here. Kawhi's not a 10-year player. Kawhi doesn't have 10 years left. His career could be shortened by injuries. He doesn't have big shoe money. He doesn't have social media money. It's bad. So I don't think it'd be a very quick series. Listen, here's all you need to know. If Phoenix played Milwaukee, who's got the better coach? I'm taking Monty Williams. Who has home court? Suns. Who has the healthier star? Suns. Whose star late in the game is better at the free throw line? Suns. Have the best free throw shooter in the league. Giannis is the second worst free throw shooting star in the league. What team is more consistent offensively? Suns. What team is overall healthier? Suns. Which team plays, and this is a big thing, which team plays with urgency every game? Phoenix. Phoenix has had one, I wouldn't even call it a stinker. I thought the game at home against the Clippers, they were tight. I don't think they played poorly. I think they were tight. They got into a hole. They came rushing back with, I think, a 16-5 run, and they just always felt like they were chasing the Clippers. And let's be honest, the Clippers, late in that game, hit every three seemingly they threw up. So it was one of those things that the Suns did not play poorly in that game, but they got themselves into a hole, dug themselves out, and the Clippers just kept them at bay. It's a football team that gets a lead, and they just kind of control the clock and keep you at bay. So our pleasure, Cameron Johnson is one of the new guys for the Phoenix Suns. And we said what makes the Suns, to me, comparable to the Seattle Seahawks the year they won the Super Bowl. Phoenix reminds me a lot of that, is that the year before the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, they were good. And then they showed up the next year, and they looked so much better than the rest of the league. And you're like, oh, that's lightning in a bottle. No, it wasn't. All their star players, their Richard Shermans, their Russell Wilsons, all their star players, young players, popped at the same time, and that's Phoenix. We knew Devin Booker was good and DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and now they got Cam Johnson, but they've all popped. They've all really flourished at the same time. So I think Phoenix is going to be good for a long time. I don't think this is one of these Miami Heat in the bubble. They get to the finals. That was a lot of weirdness. I mean, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, kind of limited players. I look at Phoenix and I think they're the Seahawks. Like all their young players, they got them under contract. They got the right coach. They got the right quarterback, and they're good, and they're deep, and they play 9 guys. And Cameron Johnson, second year with this team, is now joining us live. So, you know, Cam, it's funny. When you're a young guy, you come to Phoenix, and here comes Chris Paul. And Chris Paul's kind of a legend, right? And Chris Paul's tough on guys. He'll bark. He'll direct traffic. Is Chris Paul different playing with him than you thought he was? His reputation to what he really is. Is there a difference, or is he what you thought he'd be?
No, he's exactly what you think he'd be. I remember playing him last year in the bubble, and he was just talking to everybody, talking to the rest, talking to our coaches, talking to our players, talking to his players. I was like, man, this guy really talks a lot. He got a lot to say. So that's exactly what I expect him to be like. And he's just like that as a teammate, and it's very helpful.
You know, you played at a great college program, and when you come from, the big programs, the Kansas, the Carolinas, the Dukes, there's an expectation. Phoenix, we've had really no expectations because for 11 years until this year, there wasn't much there. So last year, the bubble, we're all kind of like looking at Phoenix going, all right, they're kind of interesting. Did you have a feeling this year when Chris got signed, before you played a game, did you have a feeling you were at practice every day thinking this team has got a lot of talent?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were special from the jump. And I really think the bubble was big for us last year, just to build that momentum, get us rolling into this season. But I think we're on record saying that we have something special in our building. Obviously, there's a lot of us that haven't been deep in the playoffs, but, you know, from the practice perspective, it looked like we had a really good chance to be pretty good this year. So the guys just worked hard all season. I think we have a great staff. I think we have a great front office, and it's really starting to come together.
Cameron, you played a Clippers team, which I believe is the second best in the NBA. I think Phoenix is the best. I thought the Clippers were the second best. And this happens a lot of times where the two best teams play on the same conference. It's nothing against Milwaukee or Atlanta, but I think the Clippers were a real test for you guys. They're older. They're physical. They got Patrick Beverley. They got tough dudes. Take me back to the Clippers series and how difficult it was. I mean, they have a lot of guys that played in this league 9, 10, 11, 12 years. You guys don't. It's Crowder, it's Chris Paul. Go back to the Clippers series and just the difficulty of getting through it.
It's a veteran team. It's a scrappy team. And we knew we had a fight on our hands. You watched how they finished out the Jazz series, and they played really well. And they came back from 25 plus down, and they fought, and they showed a lot of that. So one thing we knew